All right, we're going to be making some economic comparisons in this module. And I want to kind of define some things and make a few concepts clear, which will make the content of the module, I think, make a little bit more sense. First of all, we're going to be talking a lot about GDP. What is GDP? We're going to talk about it in much greater depth in a later module. But you've heard of it before. It stands for, it's an acronym for Gross Domestic Product. And simply put, it is the total market value of all the goods and services that a country produces in a given year. It's how much stuff, how many goods and services a country is producing. It's how we measure the relative size of an economy. If I were to ask you in this class, who has the largest economy in the world, a lot of you would want to say China because we talk about it so much in the news. But no, the answer is America. America, we're number one. We have in fact had the world's largest economy since approximately 1910. China is, however, number two, and its growth over the last 20 or 30 years has been remarkable. For most of the 20th century, the number two economy was Japan. China has surpassed Japan. Their economic size is still relatively similar, but China is somewhat bigger. Now, you're also going to hear the term GDP per capita. What is GDP per capita? Well, it's simply GDP, the number, divided by the number of people in the country, the population, the total population. And so this basically stands in as a measure of average income. How's that? You said GDP was total production. Yes, but it's also total income. Remember the circular flow model. You get paid for what you produce. And so it is a measure of both productivity and income. Production and income. And so obviously every man, woman, child, and baby doesn't make the same income, but we can get a good average. And this is important because if we take, let's say China and Japan have very similar GDPs, we said that. Let's get their GDP per capita. We divide Japan's by, 190, 200 million people. And you take that comparable number, actually a little bit bigger, for China and divide that by 1.3 billion. So China's GDP per capita is going to be significantly lower than Japan's. And we would therefore say Japan is a rich country. What does it mean to say a country is rich or not rich? Well, it means that how relatively large or small their GDP per capita is. Why does being rich matter? Well, because GDP per capita is a fair measure, a good approximation of human well-being. We're not saying that, China's or Japan is better, but we are saying life is generally better in Japan. And if you traveled around Japan extensively and then China, you would probably conclude that Japan was a richer country. For example, U.S. GDP per capita is approximately $55,800. Now, you're going to see different numbers. It depends on whether they come from the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund, whether they're using projected 2016 numbers, tentative 2015 numbers, or solid 2030. You're going to see different numbers. So they're going to be pretty approximate. So U.S. GDP per capita, $55,800. You're going to find that's extraordinarily high. And what's amazing about it is we have the third largest country in the world. We have to divide our GDP by over 300 million people, and we still get a pretty big number. Now consider the GDP per capita of the Central African Republic. $605 per year. That's the average income of a citizen in the Central African Republic. That's pretty bad. We're obviously a richer country than the Central African Republic. What does that mean? Well, it means that probably life is a lot better. Human well-being is probably a lot higher in the U.S. Consider, for example, U.S. life expectancy is 79.3 years. That's the average length of life. That's pretty good. Japan has the highest, by the way. It's 83.7. But the Central African Republic, 49.53 years. So as you see, we can use GDP per capita as a proxy for human well-being and standard of living, and those are the things that we're going to be discussing in this module.